Okay, so welcome you all. Thank you very much for coming. Today is a very special day, no, because we are welcoming a new friend, no, someone that has moved to Barcelona, and we are welcoming him. We are very happy, no, that you're here. That your no, the Integrated System Europe is going to be based in Barcelona, and this is a good news for Barcelona. And I also want to thank Paul Relat and FIDA for all the effort, because sometimes we cannot see all the activity and the effort they do, and it's not something that they have just two phone calls and they arrange this. No, it's a long way that they have worked together. So thank you very much, no, for caring about that and caring about the city. And as our new friend, I want to introduce Mike, no, because we have to. I hope this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So I want to introduce him, so we can all know who Mike is. And Mike was born in Georgetown in Guyana, South America, and moved when he was 6 to London, when he completed education with a diploma in international industrial and consumer advertising and marketing. After several years in sales and marketing in publishing companies, including FT or Personal Computer World magazine, Mike was headhunted to join Andrew Montgomery, one of the UK's largest exhibition companies, to develop their computer and communication exhibitions in Europe, including the Personal Computer World exhibition, at the time the UK's largest attended computer exhibition. So he has a lot of experience in these sectors, as we will see. Now he became business development director, Europe, and managing director for their French and German subsidiaries. And then he was again headhunted by IDG, International Data Group, a World Export Corporation, to become managing director of the German subsidiary based in Munich, where you are also based. I hope that you consider moving to Barcelona in the future. And then he developed the computer and communication exhibition in the European market. And this include also the Mac World Expo and the Apple Computer Platform and Windows World for Microsoft. In 1993, he left IDG World Expo, and he just established by himself in the Blackman Consulting, offering marketing and even consulting services, especially to media and technology companies. And he had a long experience in new media, and that was before internet was even not born, but before the boom of internet. And a lot of non-technology companies request their services, based on new media and marketing tools, which was very new at the moment. Also, he will also develop with MBG Music, an internet music company, which I hope you also tell us something about that. And in 2003, he was again headhunted by three leading industry associations, for the audiovisual and electronic systems integration industry as managing director of the joint venture company Integrated Systems Events, to develop a new annual exhibition and conference, this Integrated Systems Europe. E is now the leading European, he will tell us about that, and the world's largest attended exhibition and conference for residential professionals and commercial audiovisuals and electronic system integration. We have in this exhibition, there are attendees from more than 130 different countries that come to visit, and runs also several events. It covers solutions from home theater to residential and commercial building technology, lighting, and audiovisual control system, interactive collaboration, and multimedia conference solutions. And also Mike, apart from this amazing project, he's also an experienced industry leader with a history in the event sector and has launched a lot of events across Europe. And also he is an avid fan of technology events with more than 35 years, especially the last 18 in audiovisual in the audiovisual field. And last but not least, last year, in 2020, Installation Magazine voted him the most influential person in the pro audiovisual industry. So I hope we all welcome our new friend. I'm very happy to welcome you to Barcelona and also to this house, to the Circulestre, which we have always the doors open for you. Also, we have Paul Relats and Lane Green, and that he's the country responsible for the economist that he was going to moderate the debate. So we thank you also to be here from Madrid. He's based in Madrid. He's visiting us. So you can also ask the audience all the things you want about Barcelona and this thing. So thank you very much.
So, thank you for this wonderful welcome and to what I find a great city. Interesting thing for me was that I've walked past this building several times over the last few months. And every time I look at it, I think, wow, what a wonderful piece of architecture. I wonder who lives in there. Now I know. So thank you for inviting me into this wonderful place. And I'm pleased to have the opportunity to speak to you and tell you about what I do and what I love. Let's see if we get this working. Yes, here we go. I've already told a little bit about who I am, so let's tell you a couple of things you don't know. I'm 63. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I used to be a ski instructor. I was young and I needed the money. I'm a biker as well. As part of my consulting business, I picked up Harley Davidson as a customer and ended up running their events all over Europe. A little bit of a side away from doing technology, but it was fun. I got to dress up and look crazy, and I enjoyed it. And many times I've actually rode my motorbike down to Barcelona, including last year. I rode from Munich to Barcelona for a bit of fun to start an event here. I'm a tech fan. I love technology. I grew up in a house of people who enjoy computers. We had the Commodore PET. The Commodore 64 when it was launched in my house. Nobody had computers at home. So I grew up with these things and it made me really interested in technology. And then I became an exhibition organizer, one of the best jobs I could ever dreamt of. Those of you who are in my business understand what I'm saying. We started ISE 19 years ago. I said I'm a father. My youngest son is 18 years old. He was born 3 days before the first ISE, and I jumped in the car from the hospital, my car packed, and drove from Munich to Geneva to open up the show. So it's always a memory for me, normally in February, which is a normal date for our show, to know that my son was part of this story. So let me start on one thing. What is AV? I know many of you think of AV being, probably think about broadcast and film. We're much wider than that. It touches almost everything you're involved in. What we're doing right here, the technology we're using for you to see and hear what I'm talking about. It's when you're going shopping. It's what you're using in your boardrooms or your meeting rooms, but also in your homes. Whether it's just a simple TV system having surround sound audio to watch your latest Netflix, or if you are able to actually have a smart home. These sort of things are what's included there as well. So, a bit about ISE. We talked already a little bit here. We are the largest audiovisual technology show in the world. The event started in Geneva in 2004. It was a nice start, but Geneva, it's in Europe, but it's not. So that caused a few issues for us. So we moved the show to Amsterdam. In 2006, we could not get an appointment in Amsterdam, so we went to Brussels. And then we went back to Amsterdam, and the show grew and grew and grew to the point where it became too large for the city. We looked at different ways in which we could actually stay in Amsterdam, and realized in the end that it wasn't possible, because not only were we too large for the city, but our trajectory of growth was going to take us way beyond that. So we started shopping around in Europe to see which venues were large enough. And when we found a selection of venues that were large enough, we looked at the cities and said, do they have enough hotels? And then once we said enough hotels, we said, can they get people there? Can we get people around? And this shortened that list down to a very short final list. But before that, amongst that list was Barcelona. And one thing Barcelona did, the people here from FIRA, Ruben Dalmau here, Ruben has known me for more than 10 years, and he's been coming to ISE and keeping the contact and saying, when you're ready to come to Barcelona, let's talk. And then one day I called him and said, I'm ready. Here I am. Our biggest year was 2019. We had over 80,000 attendees and almost 13 to 1,400 exhibitors. 2020, the worst thing that could happen to our industry, the pandemic started. I think you all knew about what happened to mobile, which was supposed to happen 2 weeks before us, 2 weeks after us. And they canceled. And it caused the whole industry thinking, will ISE happen? We fought, we said, we gave the reasons why we felt we could still go ahead. At that time, we didn't believe, or we didn't understand the severity of what was coming. But we were able to put a show on. It was smaller. We lost a majority of our Chinese exhibitors and a lot of European companies who felt nervous to actually be there. But we still had over 1,100 exhibitors, but only about 54,000 attendees. But we were able to do a show that everyone was happy with. The show, we're in the AV industry, so video, images, sound is what we're about. So I think the best way to show you what ISE is to show you a video. So you've seen there some images of products, and it's the solutions which are behind those, what ISE is all about. It's not a show about products, it's showing solutions. I mentioned already, it touches everything you're doing. We cover the residential industry, so the things you will use in your home environment to make your home living even more comfortable or more sophisticated. That can mean electronic blinds, controlling the heating, having a home cinema, all these sort of aspects that make it interesting. But where it probably touches most of you is in the commercial sector. We've all been using for the last 2 years, Zoom, Google Meets, Teams, etc. That's part of our business. These are some of our biggest exhibitors who are actually showing their solutions with the technology that's available. If you're using Teams in your office, Teams is the solution behind it, but you're using a screen from another manufacturer. Maybe you're using a microphone from somebody else and a speaker that's attached to your computer or your conference room. So it's bringing lots of different products together to create a solution for you to do your business. At the end of the day, you don't care what the products are. You care about what it does for you. And that's what we try to show at ISE. Here is another highlight of some of those things. Too fast. I'm sorry, I'm a little too quick for this. It's not running. Okay, we'll skip that one. Talks about the solutions, what we do, but I want to show you what we're going to bring to Barcelona and why we believe that this is going to grow and what our industry is like. In 2019, the audiovisual industry worldwide was worth almost $260 billion. It was hit during the pandemic and went down, but we see the trajectory and recovery that's coming back, that's building a business that by 2026 will be worth almost $330 billion. That shows the potential of where we're going. You're seeing a compound average growth there of a bit more than 6%, which is a little bit above inflation at the moment. So I think we're on a very good trajectory to show you how big we're going to be. But what about Spain? Well, the Spanish market itself. Now, let's exclude filmmaking, but let's cover the equipment that's involved in film and broadcast, but not the actual what you pay for movie stars and things like this, but the actual creating those experiences. That means we've seen here in Spain a GDP of more than 6.5% in 2021. And despite the pandemic, it has grown this year. And what we're seeing coming up in the next years will be over 6.2% average growth until 2026. So we're looking at a business that will, at the moment, about $3 billion, 3 billion euros here in the Spanish market, and projected growth, continuous growth in the next years. So we will actually help accelerate that growth. We will be part of it, but more so we will be reflecting and bringing those companies to help them there. What about ISE? Well, we always do our 5-year plan. And what I've shown you here is what our 5-year plan was in 2017 and what gave us the reason for moving to Barcelona. We saw a trajectory of where our business, now this is square meters. If you're in, those people in the exhibition business understand our currency. But we measure in that. Our prices may change and that will affect how much money we make. But the reason for coming was that we were outgrowing the city we were in. And we saw a trajectory that was going to show us to be over something that would actually take about 3/4 of Fira Gran Via by 2026. That was our original projection. In 2020, when we left Amsterdam, we signed contracts from our top 900 companies for 67,000 net square meters. That put us on a trajectory for 2021 to do 75,000 square meters. So if you look at that, you see where we could have been by now without COVID. We have slowed down on what we think our growth will be. We're being conservative, but we still believe that by 2026, we'll be reaching probably 80% of the capacity of the venue. And depending on what happens in May, it could be more. We hope so. We have some internal bets going on, and I'm hoping a lot of other people will win. But we know we are progressing. What that means for the city is we become part of this ecosystem here. ISE has already brought, I know personally of 3 companies who have set up their business here in Barcelona as a result of us moving here. And we know of many more who are considering this move as well to actually establish dependencies here in this city. And that's without the incentives that your governments are offering. So they've seen the importance, they've seen the potential, and they're coming here. What that does for us, it comes around. It comes back in and gives us more companies for the exhibition. And the exhibition grows and brings more companies and more businesses here. So this ecosystem of how the city, on how you as business people in this industry here, in this region, actually contribute to that as well, shows where our growth is going and how important it is for the city and yourselves to be involved in what we do. And this speaks also about other exhibitions, but my interest is ISE. I'm always someone who dreams of achieving things, and I stole this saying from somebody: if you never aim for the moon, you'll never get there. But if you aim for the moon and you miss, you might hit a star. We want to hit the moon, but if we hit a star, we're not worried. We've seen, as I said, the most desperate time for our industry. And a lot of people have been talking about what is the necessity of exhibitions? Why do people need to go to exhibitions? Well, in this world where we're talking about metaverse, where we're talking about different ways of experiencing and learning about products, there are so many things that are changing the way we do business. There are things that at the turn of the century we never dreamt were possible. Now, we'll see flying cars coming up. These things you're experiencing with artificial intelligence and robotics. 20 years ago, we never dreamt this would be reality. And now there's so much available now, people start to say, well, where are exhibitions? Why do you need this still? Well, for our industry, exhibitions are good. We know that because all the companies, no matter what sort of exhibition they're doing, use the technology to actually present themselves, present their products, services, solutions, and how they do their business. That's why we have an importance here. We've changed how we're actually interacting with people, with Zoom, with Teams, etc. But there are a couple of factors that are coming in now where people are starting to come back and realizing important things. Exhibitions have been around for about 2,500 years, with the Phoenicians actually creating marketplaces where the traders came in by ship from all over the world to exchange goods, ideas, etc. So it's an old industry. And you say, well, why do we still need it? Well, human nature. I'm sure all of you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you look at the middle section there about the cognitive influence, the cognitive needs, esteem, having value from other people, belonging, having warmth, these are things which are natural for us as individuals. And because of this, we want to get back to being back in our offices, back to shows in person. We did a survey last week to ask our attendees, what are the most important factors for you coming to an exhibition? And we asked them, is it to see new products and services? Is it to find out about what the competition is doing? The most significant factor was networking, doing what we are doing here, getting back together, talking and learning. Exhibitions are some of the biggest drivers for trade. UFI, Union of Fire Internationals, is the Association for Exhibition Organizers. FIRA belongs to it, we belong to it, most of the major companies in the industry belong to it. And they put out some surveys and made some estimations of the impact on exhibitions. They claim that $200 billion worldwide is created by exhibitions. 6.3 billion from direct spending. That's what's spent at the fairgrounds in terms of buying exhibition space, building booths, etc. 13 billion indirect. So the effect it has on the city in creating jobs, whether it's in a restaurant or a taxi driver. These are things that get affected from what we do. In Spain alone, there are 10 million visitors to exhibitions that create 60,000 jobs, direct jobs. Another 123,000 which are related around. Again, the taxi drivers, the hotels, those things, the temporary workers who come on board for those events. So we have a great impact on what's going on. We made an estimation. You may have seen some things reported in the newspapers recently that had higher figures, but we've had to downgrade that because the show is smaller. But we still believe that by 2023, ISE will be contributing outside of the fair between 250 and 300 million euros per annum to the city of Barcelona as an effect, and that's the 10 days that we are in the city. The growth projection that we have that I've shown you shows that by 2026, that should be, I hope, because that means it's affecting our growth as well and see how well we're doing, but in excess of 500 million that we contribute to this city outside of the exhibition. So we are important. But the other thing as well, everyone asked me, why Barcelona? Well, I mentioned already that we went around, looked at all over the world. We had our connections to Barcelona already. We looked at the venues that could work. But we also interviewed, we sent out a survey to our exhibitors and visitors and asked them, what are the most important factors that influence you to go to an exhibition? Obviously, the first is the relevance of that exhibition to their business. But then they look at factors like, can I get there easily? Can I get a decent hotel at a decent price? What is the city welcoming? Can I communicate? We then took those factors and rated them against the cities we put in our shortlist, of which Barcelona was one of them. And in every sector, Barcelona scored between the middle and top. For hospitality and welcoming, Barcelona was the top score. But the average score across everything, Barcelona was top. It only scored badly on one factor, and that was language. People felt that you didn't speak enough English. Well, you understand me. Actually, if we talk about 15 years ago, that was probably true. I've been here 15 years ago, and I know what it's like getting into a taxi and trying with hands and feet and fingers to try and explain where I'm going. I don't need that anymore. We see the level of English from service personnel in hotels, in taxis and restaurants being excellent. And this is a welcoming factor for people coming here. But listen to what our exhibitors say.
3, 2, 1. ISE BARCELONA 2020 is now open.
We love coming to ISE every year.
ISE is the largest AV systems integration show in the world.
It's one of our cornerstone events that we attend every year.
It's a must-place show. You can't not be here.
We can't wait. We look forward to the show every year. ISE is innovative, it's global, and it's very dynamic.
There's a lot of exploration within the different halls. The innovation is really booming.
I think the energy here is just outstanding.
Number one, number one, number one.
We're already in the planning stages for next year.
I don't expect the move to be difficult. It's just a great place to go.
This is the greatest show in the industry. We deserve to go there.
Barcelona is magnificent. It's really a true cosmopolitan destination city. I think our customers are going to enjoy coming.
People can find a lot of opportunities, a lot of innovation. So it's the right place for ISE to be.
But just hoping that it brings a brand new audience to the show because of the new location.
There's no place, in my mind, better in Europe than going to Barcelona. I think it'll just be a great location to be able to engage with the customers both inside the event and outside the event as well.
Navigating around the city is wonderful. They've got great infrastructure.
In terms of getting back and forth from the center of the city up to the Fira.
The Fira is so big that we can actually arrange the exhibitors in very logical places.
It's a high technology pavilion. We're in a high technology industry, and it is nothing short of world class. We're really looking forward to going there.
So in Barcelona, we actually are going to be able to increase our booth size.
We'll have a single presence, but much larger.
Already, we have doubled our space at ISE. In Barcelona, we're going to really amp it up and take it to the next level. You have to come to our booth and see what kind of innovations we're going to showcase.
Barcelona is going to be one great continuous venue. I think it's going to be a really wonderful platform.
I'm sure people will have a wonderful experience in Barcelona.
So I hope from that you have a bit of impression of what we do, what we're bringing here, and I hope you'll join us to be part of it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mike. Very impressive presentation and introduction to your industry, which both the audiovisual industry and to the events industry. As mentioned in the introduction, I'm Lane Green. I'm the Economist's brand new Spain correspondent as of last summer in Madrid. So I have lots of questions for these gentlemen about Barcelona, Catalonia, the economy here. I'll put a few of my questions to them, and then I'll open it up to you all. And I hope we can have a kind of dynamic series of questions where you can talk to each other. You can ask each other questions. If you guys don't ask questions, you'll have to hear mine. So I hope you do, but if you don't, I will keep these gentlemen busy this whole time. I'd like to start off by talking a little bit about the process. Antonio, in introducing you, said this is not a matter of 2 phone calls. Mike, from your point of view, what did they do to get you here? And I'd like to hear from Pau how you wooed, as it were, Mike and ISE to Barcelona.
Well, as I said before, one of the first things is FIRA has kept a long relationship with us. I understand now that they identified us as a potential customer many years ago, amongst others, and have kept that contact. And it hasn't been, the contact and the way of doing business has been very, very subtle, very friendly, building that relationship so that I knew they were there when I needed to talk to them. But when I got ready to talk to them, they rolled out the red carpet. They pulled in the big guns. No other city did this. When I arrived here, I sat with Constanti Serralonga and Ruben Delmar and Pereira, and they knew they were on the short list. And the question they put to me was, Mike, how can we win this? And I posed the question to them, which Constanti said to me, Mike, I can't do that. And I said, that's okay. It's not a deal breaker, but it could have made a difference. That evening, they called me in my hotel and said, Mike, tomorrow morning, there's a car coming to pick you up, and we're going to see the mayor. And I thought, wow. And a nice big Mercedes came and picked me up and took me to the town hall, which I know normally cars can't drive in. So I drove in and the policeman opened up the door. So I thought, okay, these guys know how to treat me. They're trying to make an impression. And we met with the mayor and I posed the question again. And the answer was yes. And I said, okay, we have a deal. We're here. And I went back and reported my board. I've agreed to Barcelona and they cheered. So that's how it started. So it hasn't been 2 phone calls. It's been a process of at least 10 years.
And Pau, from your end, how were you conscious of he said you knew you were on the short list. Do you consciously see yourself as competing with your competitors, your fellow cities, trying to get business like Mike?
Let me start by saying thanks to Mike, because as people from Barcelona, I think that people like Mike, we have to thank him because he's one of the most important ambassadors of our city. And he helped us to just increase our self-confidence, because sometimes we are claiming about the city, about everything, and people from outside give us a different perspective of the assets of the city. So I would like to thank Mike for that and for believing in Barcelona from the very beginning. On the other side, that's one of the main assets of Fira de Barcelona, which is, to me, is one of the most important economical institutions in the country, and which is a clear example of public-private cooperation. Okay, and you have very well said, one of the things that Fira did best is to think strategically which are the sectors of the economy which are going to be important for the territory, for Barcelona, for Catalonia, and work to try to develop an ecosystem who will secure that these businesses will develop in the country. And on that direction is why 10 years ago I was not the chairman of FIRA at that time, but the people who was managing the institution at that time considers that ISE, the audiovisual industry, will be a very important one for the territory, and that's why people from FIRA started to visit ISE and trying to convince Mike on that respect. I think it is important at this moment in time to pay a special consideration to FIRA team. Okay, they did an amazing job, Ruben and all the executive team. I think that is outstanding. That's what makes Fira de Barcelona something different from the rest of the venues of the world. So I would like to thank all of them and pay special consideration to the team and to his general manager, Constanti Serralonga, which is, they have been a key success, issue for bringing ISE here. So he mentioned something which is very important, and sometimes here we don't pay special care to, which is the level of involvement of the institutions with the projects like this. And FIRA, it's an exception because everybody understands that the mission of the institution, which is to become an engine of the economical and social development of the territory, so the mission of the institution, it's even more important than the interest of every stakeholder or every institution. So everybody is putting their best to achieve that mission. And that's why when FIRA was just trying to bring ISE here and we asked for the support of the institution, they immediately react on that direction and just pay full support to that.
Mike, you gave some impressive looking numbers about the contribution of events to local economies, but you also mentioned something important, which is that a couple of companies have decided to make longer term investments here. There are event destinations. I went to university in New Orleans. I can think of places like Las Vegas that everybody loves to visit, but then no one is investing and staying in New Orleans or Las Vegas. It's come in, have a few nights, meet some friends, do some networking, have a nice dinner, and go. And that's it. How does Barcelona differ in that regard for you?
Well, I mean, let's go back to Las Vegas and New Orleans, but particularly Las Vegas. Las Vegas has a focus of being an entertainment town. And, you know, there's not a lot of creativity in terms of businesses growing up outside of entertainment. New Orleans has other issues, but it's still a good place for conventions, not exhibitions, but conventions. Barcelona has much more. It has an economy here. It's an economically rich area in terms of being able to create business, but more so are the amount of investment that goes on from the community, from the government, etc., to build business here. And that encourages us to say, you know, we're not just bringing people to have fun, we're bringing people to do business. And it's difficult. If you try and take someone to go, if I say to someone, I'm going to Las Vegas, they say, oh, cool, you're going to go and gamble. It's the first question.
Right.
If you say I'm going to Barcelona, no one actually asks me, are you going to the beach? I may do that, but that's not the question that comes up. And it's that image that goes here. People recognize this place as somewhere to do business, and that's important.
Oh,
I cannot add anything else, but Mike, in the sense that he has mentioned some things that are one of the most assets of the city. First of all, which is a city in which the way of doing things are very business friendly. Okay, because the community, the private sector, is very much involved in letting things happen from one side, and from the other side, for Barcelona, which is I would say a very well reputed city worldwide. For Barcelona, an event like ISE, it's the event, and all the city will be focused on the event during that period of time, from one side. And from the other side, we will work together with the institution to make sure that the legacy that ISE will leave to the country, to the city in the years to come, is significant enough to pay tribute to the mission of the institution. And it is difficult to find somewhere, some place, some cities in the world who will very much focus on that purpose.
Maybe I can just add something to it. When we went through our process of choosing, we looked at London, we looked at Munich. Please don't tell them. They know. You know, we looked at a lot of other cities. And one of the problems of London is so big and so expensive that we realized if we go to London, we would just be one of a number of multiple events taking place. And the local community will not even know we exist. What we found by coming to Barcelona and having all the support we have, we are the main thing that's going on. That really helps us in having our publicity to bring the audiences, to help build the show and have that recognition.
Yeah,
And that's
maybe
important.
one reason the Olympics matter to a city like Barcelona and my hometown of Atlanta in a way that they don't to a London, Paris. When you said the word language, I held my breath for a few moments, and maybe a few of you did as well, because language is an extremely political topic here in Catalonia, and it's part of a larger political cycle, and I think it's not too strong a word to say conflict over the last few years. And I wonder to what extent the political process, the drive to independence that was taking place in 2017 was on the minds of people like you when you decide to come to Barcelona, or are you thinking more in terms of these practical business considerations that don't bring some of these political worries into account?
our belief, and we looked at this, and our belief, and looking at this, we said people are coming here for business. And one thing we've seen is dealing with the politicians here and the parties. They've changed in this time, but we're still getting the same help. We're still getting the support. It doesn't matter who's in power. So what we recognize here is the strong effort to build business here, despite who's in power.
I'd like to now open the questions to the floor and see what you have to ask Mike and Pao. And if you don't ask questions, I'll keep them coming. But gentleman here has got his hand up. Do we have a microphone coming to the floor? If not, you can use your best stage voice. Speak to the back of the room, they say.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I was a short question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. That's really on. Thanks, Antonio, for the invitation. It's great event. Very short question, but it's to both of you. One thing is to get you here. How are we going to keep you here? And this question to you, Mike, and to you, Pao.
Well, we've signed a 3-year contract. That contract has been pushed forward. The FIRA has been very generous with us going through this difficult time to actually help us survive, help everybody survive and work together. So that has been extended and starts from now. But the honest truth is we're probably staying long term, but we can't tell the hotels and the other businesses because they'll raise the prices. Any hoteliers here?
The secret's out.
Yeah. Obviously we have to look at our business and see how we progress, how we work. We believe we made the right decision. Whatever happens, our term will be 5 years because a show the size of ISE can't just pick up roots and move in 1 year. There's going to be hardly a venue in Europe that's going to be available in 12 months to actually say, okay, we can take you. Someone said to me, what happens if you become too large for this city? Well, that's a problem I'd love to have. And I think we'll deal with it if we get there. But even with that, FIRA is already doing some things already. Pao, maybe you explain a bit about the developments that are coming on at FIRA with new buildings, etc., to actually help keep us here.
Sure, I will add to what Mike says with 3 different ideas. Okay, I'm a very traditional man, and in the past, before getting married, you usually go out for a couple of times to make sure that the person you choose to marry with, it was the right one. So I think that we have been through the process during 10 years. Ruben was dancing with Mike and so on. Finally, okay, Mike decided that maybe it's a good idea to go and live together. Okay, and after these 2 years of pandemia, we both make sure, okay, that not only going out or living together, that we'd like to marry together. Because it's especially during difficult times that you know who your good friends are. And I think it has been a clear proof of commitment and partnership between us. That's the first idea. Second idea, we're not going to give him any excuse or ISE any excuse for leaving Barcelona. We are expanding our venue in Gran Via, which is going to be ready by end 2025. We're going to offer ISE space enough for staying with us forever. And the third reason why we're going to stay together is because both of us were aiming the moon, and we will reach the moon together.
Yeah. Or a star. So first, the same question or? Okay, so 1 and 2.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Jose Bové. I think that this afternoon we are all enjoying this session. And especially, I see that at the end, what we are talking is from a love story. From a love story of yourself, of the team of Pau, with the city of Barcelona, and with your institution. And I think we are extremely very pleased that you have decided to come over, and we expect you to stay for a lot of years. Having said that, I'm trying to be a little bit imaginative. If you were to look for points of improvement as far as Barcelona, as far as Catalonia, what would you recommend us to be better in the future and to be able to capture, to seduce other institutions like yourself?
That's a big wish. So, you know, I think it's one of those things that's going to move every year, because the more I learn about this city, the bigger my wishes will become. But most of that will be about my ambition of where we can go. And I think you have to be careful, because my ambition will grow and I'll have more demands. What can you improve? I don't know yet. When I look at what I'm already getting, it's something where I look and say, I couldn't have wished for that. Someone asked me about, you know, do I worry about my age? When I was 15, I wanted to be 18. When I was 18, I wanted to be 21, because that was the magic number that you could do everything. And then I thought, yeah, 25, that's the ideal age where you say, that's it. And I didn't want to be older. And then I got to 30 and I thought, wow, life is even better. But I thought 40, that's really old. Sorry, guys. But I got to 40 and life changed and moved on. And every year has been like that for me. So I look at our business as being the same thing. As we progress and grow, as we progress and get more from you, the more I'll demand, and the more I'll enjoy it, and the more things I'll discover that we can ask for. At the moment, you know, I think if I'm really open and honest, the city does have some problems. And for me, the biggest challenge and the biggest PR battle we have to fight is about the pickpockets on the Rambla. We can't bury our heads in the sand. But what we can do is we can educate our customers and tell them, be diligent. This can happen in any city in the world. Just be diligent. Don't walk around blind, and be aware of your situation. And there are certain areas you may not want to go and walk at night. That's all we can do. I've spoken to the police commissioner about this. And the one thing he gave me, and it's a story that we give as well, Barcelona does have a problem with pickpockets, but it doesn't have a problem of violent crime. And that is actually something you can look at. It's strange. This morning I read on Facebook from my uncle. My uncle is advisor to the president of Guyana, and he lives in a very exclusive area in Guyana. And this morning he wrote on Facebook that he walked down his street and he was robbed. And he couldn't believe it, because there's several ministers living on this street and people of importance. And he was quite shocked that that should happen. So we see something like this can happen anywhere in the world. So my advice always to my people is be diligent. This is something, it could have happened in Amsterdam. It could have happened in London. If I want to look at a negative of a city, I think I can find a negative of almost any city in the world. Look at the crime in New York. Look at the knife crime in London. So we'll find things. So I think Barcelona needs to do something about it, but it shouldn't be too concerned that's a deterrent.
That's the mic.
Hola, sí.
There
This is Jordi Nadal from Plataforma Editorial. Thanks for coming to Barcelona. This week, two great news. Barcelona Football Black is back, Barcelona Football Club, and then you are coming here. One essential thing you have to believe, all the people who are committed to Barcelona, we are all going to do our best, because we are conscious that this city is back strongly, is back committed, is back committed to stand and deliver. Never forget, in Germany you say, tot gesagt leben länger. Those who are supposed to be dead live longer. Barcelona has never been dead, and has a strong will to stand and deliver and make this city again in every single conscious map of a place where things happen. We are very happy, and we will stand up and deliver. We are here conscious about this and very thankful.
Thank you.
Do you have a question to append to that, or would you agree?
No doubt we will do this.
No problem at all. We have another question.
I mean, I can add that I believe that. It's what I've seen, my experiences of the people I'm being introduced to, and seeing the enthusiasm and welcoming that we're receiving for ISE, and volunteering to help our business has been phenomenal. Again, I say, I know we made the right decision.
Sure, and I think if may I think that little by little, the city will know what ISE is, what ISE contribution will be to the country in the couple of years. and the potentiality of ISE. And I think that this support will be year after year becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Make sure of.
Actually, I can say one thing to my wishes. The attendees to ISE are what we call channel. So they are people who are involved in buying and reselling the equipment in our business. And our future growth will be in the corporate sector. And that's what we're trying to activate. About 30%, 35% of our attendees are people like you. But we realize our future, our growth will be bringing more and more corporates into the show. So my wish is go out and tell your colleagues, your business partners, tell them why AV will affect their business. Tell them why this is significant, that they should know what it means and how it's going to help them improve how they do their business, how it's going to help them improve the communication, motivation of their employees. This is significant. Or even come and see how you can improve your home.
I have a question from the gentleman here.
Thank you, Mike, for become a great ambassador from Barcelona, because as somebody say, sometimes people from Barcelona are really critical with us. I want to ask you a question. In your exhibition, where they come, the exhibitors and the leaders companies, where they are coming from, States, Asia, Europe, mostly? Or...
So if I look on two sides, our attendees, 80% of our attendees are coming from Europe. About 5% are coming from the USA. We have about 6-7% coming from China. And then the rest are spread out, little ones, just different places in the world. But as far as Australia, or we had some from Russia who, we've taken out the show this year because of the situation. So we're really an international event. Our attendees come from more than 130 different countries. And sorry, I'm talking about that one part of our attendees, one part of the exhibitors. Sorry, lost my train there. Our attendees are coming from the majority in the big markets. So UK, Germany, France. We did have the Netherlands because that's where the show was, and that will switch. That will go down, and we'll pick up from Spain and Portugal. Italy has picked up. We're seeing more Italians actually are more encouraged to come to Spain than they were to Amsterdam. And we hope that works for the French as well. Our exhibitors are companies like, our biggest exhibitor is Samsung. They're very big in this industry, a big manufacturer of screens. And this is one of the strongest visual interfaces for our business. We have companies like Sony, Panasonic, all the big technology manufacturers in the world are part of the show. You'll have companies like Microsoft and Google who produce collaboration tools, solutions. But then we have a host of companies that you probably have never heard of who create these little black boxes and cables that work in the background to help these solutions be part of it. So yes, they're coming from all over the world. We have a lot of Americans. We have a lot of Japanese companies. We have a lot of Korean companies, Taiwanese, Chinese. This year, we only have 800 exhibitors. One of the key reasons is that we would normally have about 300 Chinese companies. We've seen the same issue with Mobile World. We also have a lot of Chinese companies normally. So we're missing these companies because of the pandemic situation. They will be back. We're missing a number of European companies who are still a little bit nervous to travel, but it's getting better.
I wonder if I might sneak in a quick question on the back of the comment over here. The idea that Barcelona is back, that it's been some hard years, but here we are. I'm not sure that outside of Spain or outside of the region, people ever saw Barcelona as gone. I think that inside a place, the premise of the question is, there's worry and concern about is the city, is its best days behind it? But as an American, as someone who lives outside of Spain, I don't think we ever saw Barcelona disappear. What about it surprised you? But when you got here, and maybe did you sense that nervousness that you wanted to?
I've been. I'm one of the few people who's been traveling during the pandemic. I've been backwards and forwards to Barcelona. As I say to everyone, give me any excuse, and I'll come here. I've taken advantage of that, and I've seen what's been happening. And I think the citizens here have probably experienced a really tough time. We've seen businesses going bankrupt, particularly in the hospitality sector and the live events sector. Restaurants, some of my favorite restaurants don't exist anymore, and I cry about that. And I feel sorry for these people. So yes, I think that's why Barcelona people think they're coming back and they've gone away.
Yeah.
From outside, yes, we haven't been able to travel here easily. I went through a lot of hoops every time. I remember one day having 3 Corona tests. Just one for going to different events and one for going home. But I'm always the optimist, and I say, if this is what I have to do business, then I'm going to do that.
I wonder if I could put a version of that question to you about how the world sees Barcelona and how Barcelona sees itself. What do you find people's misimpressions are, either positively or negatively?
I fully agree with what Mike says, because for other business, for other purposes, I'm traveling quite often overseas, and the image of Barcelona outside has nothing to do with the image that we have. The people from Barcelona, I think that we are too strict by analyzing ourselves. We are too critics with ourselves instead of feeling self-confidence and be proud of what we have as an asset of the city. And sometimes people from overseas has to open our eyes and say, yes, listen, guys. You are not. You are not conscious of the city that you have, the assets that you have. You should build on that. Don't worry about the concerns. Okay, don't worry about the concerns. Just build based on the assets and on the things the good things that the city has.
I saw a recent national study where people were asked to rate their own country, how warmly they felt, and other countries. And what was interesting was to see countries that rated themselves more highly than other people did, and people who did it the other way around. The country that underrated itself the most was Spain. So outsiders love Spain. We love Spain. But Spanish people are worried that there are problems, political, economic, social, and give it a much lower rating. The countries that rated the other way around and overvalued themselves the most were the UK and Russia. So in this sense, Spain is the sort of anti-Russia, and everyone loves it, and maybe a lot of people here don't realize just how wonderful the country is. We have time for at least one more question. Antonio, please.
If I can abuse.
Yes, please abuse.
But before the question, something very important I forgot is that to thank Pere Guardiola for making this possible, because he's like we are always on the border with Pere. He's always he's a trend hunter, and I think we will remember this day when. I know in 2-3 years that everybody will know what ISE is and will be something very, very important. We will remember that we had Mike here before that boom happened. And my question is, are you thinking about creating an environment for companies and establishing activities here around the event, or?
Absolutely, we see the opportunity here, but we don't believe we are the people to do it. We believe we can be the catalysts, we can be the facilitators. This needs to be something which is driven by the business community here, from the government here, and we will create the platform and we'll do everything to make it grow, because we have a real interest. When it grows, when the community here grows, when the business here grows, it helps us grow.
I think I will take that question because this is it's a crucial point, because the FIRA itself, again, I say the mission of FIRA is to help to develop the economy of the country and social development. So basically with that purpose, it's a must that we create some kind of entity in which we participate together, institutions, private sector, and so on, to ensure that the legacy that is behind the ISE is very well treated and secure for the city and for the territory. And I think, as Mike has very well said, ISE can be the catalyst, but the leadership has to be taken by the institutions and the private sector here, as we did with some other initiatives that has been a great success for the city, and that has, helped us to achieve that goal, which is to create an ecosystem that brings talent to the city, that brings new companies to establish in the city, and create a very virtual and positive circle.
If I may maybe ask one last question to kind of tie up the theme of events. It's it's like there's a slight tension in your business because you are creating the audio or bringing a forum together for the creators of these wonderful audio-visual technologies. And we talked a little bit about the now famous metaverse at the table. Can you see a world in which the industry that you represent in this way makes it no longer necessary to have events? We had a lovely slide of two people shaking hands. We've had a lovely lunch here. I have a personal hard time seeing it, but many of the things that we see today in 2022, I couldn't have imagined 20 years ago. I don't know what it will look like in 20 years. I don't know if you're a science fiction fan, but many things changed beyond anyone's prediction.
So if I talk particularly about ISE, it's called audiovisual. Can you imagine trying to understand the quality of an 8K display or having immersive surround sound, but trying to get it through a computer screen?
Imagine the lunch.
Yeah.
There's no way that
we had some very good discussions, and a lot of factors I already mentioned about Maslow's themes here. But also look at the fact that when we sit together, how much you observe body language, how much you're looking at how someone's reacting. I've been in sales, and I read a lot of books on body language because it helps me to sell and to read the messages I'm getting from somebody. You can't do that through a computer screen. You sit on a Zoom call and this is all you see. If you are seeing an avatar, you see zero of the emotion and what's coming out. And these things are very important factors generally on how we do business. Reading the emotions of our partners, the people opposite us, and understanding from body language, from silent signals, what the effect is. And that we can't do virtually.
So in summation, maybe we can say long live the technology that makes these miracles possible, but long live the lunch, the meetings here in this room, the conference business, the events business. Well, thank you, Mike and Pao. This has been an outstanding conversation. And I hope you guys will join me in thanking Mike and Pao for their insights.
Thank you.